Well, you know what? It was kind of inevitable, wasn't it? It genuinely was kind of inevitable. After Connor Barron's comments yesterday about social media, about staying off social media, about doing his talking on the pitch, we kind of knew that an Instagram row was just kind of round the corner, didn't we? We all knew it was coming. It was kind of written in the stars. I don't know why I'm singing that, but there we go. We're going to talk Todd Cantwell, Insta Rage. We're going to talk Insta Rage from two aspects: Insta Rage from the fans and Insta Rage from Todd, as Todd snaps back at a fan and his comments. It's all kicking off. We're also going to talk a little bit about Chris Boyd, and he is angry as well. It's a Sunday, and everybody's angry. Why is everybody angry on a Sunday? And we're going to talk about what Rangers Review are saying about Kenny McLean as well. So let's start with everyone's favourite prince of social media, Mr. Todd Cantwell. Right, let's try and remain as impartial and as unbiased and journalistic-like as possible about Todd. Now, I have read a whole series of social media tweets or X's or whatever they're called. I've read comments on Insta. I've read comments on Facebook. I've read comments on virtually every social media platform there is to read about Todd the Prod. And we've seen support for Todd. We've seen rage at Todd. We've seen fed upness. We've just seen the general, for fuck's sake, come on, kind of comments about this. Right. Look, I think before we talk about the story, one thing we're going to have to accept, one thing we all have to accept is social media is here. Social media, whether right, whether wrong, whether you agree or disagree, whether you like players posting on social media, whether you don't like players posting on social media, whether you like social media or don't like social media, it is here to stay. And I think, you know, we look at some of the players from the past. Gaza, I mean, can you imagine his social media? Oh my God, it would have been a lawyer's dream. I think, you know, there's a few people in the past at Rangers. We've had some very interesting social media posts. Had Instagram and X existed back in the day. I'm just kind of picking Gaza in particular. So what has Todd Cantwell had to say? So Todd Cantwell posted a video highlights reel on Instagram earlier today on his personal account, on his verified personal account. So we know that it is a genuine Todd Cantwell. The video, which I'm not going to show here because I don't want to breach copyright. If you do want to check it out, go on Insta, just put Todd Cantwell in the search. I'm sure you'll find it. I'm sure if you Google it, you'll probably find it as well. Now, on this video, he shows a lot of highlight reels, his goals from last season, his assists from last season, some moments of skill from last season, some celebrations from last season. He just kind of shows that. But his byline, his comment for this video is the best is yet to, or something like the best is yet to come, or something like that. Basically saying that the upcoming season is a time when, you know, things will improve, things will get better, and Rangers will go from success to success, success to success. That's not easy to say. And that Todd Cantwell will go from success to success. Now, this is not the first time Todd Cantwell has posted on social media and caused a bit of a stir. We had the Shush Burger, which of course caused a great deal of issues. We've had a few other things. We've had the bird in the cage comment, which apparently is just a song title. We've had a few things that have caused kind of controversy, and it seems that a lot of the feeling amongst not all the fans, but you know, I think perhaps, you know, a large group of fans is that Todd needs to shut up, needs to do his talking on the field, and if he was week in, week out, putting the kind of performances we know that he is more than capable of, we wouldn't have an issue with him posting everything on social media. That wouldn't be a problem. There's another half of the fans that love what Todd Cantwell does on social media. The fact that he's kind of in your face, bit of a character, Todd the Prod, hates that lot from across the city, genuinely gets it, loves the club, etc., etc. You know, look, we get that. Look, there's two split. You know, look, it's the same as Tav, it's the same as Goals, it's the same as a number of players. They split the fan base, you know, down the middle. So this was the highlight reel. So he showed the highlight reel, and then a fan made a comment, and quite in not keeping with kind of footballer tradition, that they kind of just, no matter what he said to them, they kind of just ignore it. Just kind of keep a low profile. Don't say anything. Todd Cantwell actually responded to a fan. This is what he had to say. The user, which is Kynelster _ perform on the pitch instead of Instagram, then was the question, was the response. And Todd Cantwell's response was that clips are from me playing you a weapon and then a bell, which I think is a reference to a bell end. I think that's what it is, looking at the shape of it, the fact that what it is. People said, what's a weapon bell? I don't think it's a weapon bell. I think it's a bell end. I think that's what Todd Cantwell is kind of saying. I think he's kind of snapped a little bit at this comment that was made by a fan. So, right, okay. This is the situation. He snapped back at a fan. I think this will possibly may land him in a little bit of trouble, a little bit of, a bit of hot water with the club. I think that is a possibility, given Philippe Clement's past comments and the anger he showed at full time in the cup final towards him. I think it's interesting, though, that this has kind of been picked out as the comment to kind of run with. There's a lot of comments on there that are actually supporting him. Glad you're staying, Todd the Prod. Let's do it. Flexing muscle. Hope so, Todd. I certainly hope so. Glad you're staying. That's made my day. And then some other responses. There's a number of responses to this. A lot of people supporting what Todd Cantwell is saying. Haters going to hate Todd. Applause for Todd. Some more insults there, causing different names. You know what? Why does he? Plenty of fans of Bellends. I'm a Rangers fan. Before you say anything, there's only one player that team should be built around. I love you. Different comments there. Yes, come on, Todd. Go on, bro. We have faith in you. There's comments pro, there's comments against. It just seems that this one comment has obviously riled Todd Cantwell up, and he has responded to this. Now, it's a difficult one. It's a genuinely difficult one. Part of me, look, there's two sides to this story. There's one that says that Cantwell shouldn't be putting stuff on Instagram like this, given the fact that, that in the past that what he's done and said has caused controversy, and there's this continuing, controversy circling Todd. He needs to stay off social media, that he needs to kind of do it on the field. And once he's doing it on the field consistently, then we kind of don't care what he puts on social media. There's others that are fully for this and fully support this. And look, I think, Todd is an enigma. He totally is an enigma. I personally, my personal opinion, I love Todd. I think he's fabulous. I just love him to bits. I think he's brilliant. I think he's a character. I think he's probably the most skillful player we've got on the team. I think he's a top talent. I think he can do things that other players can't do. I think if he was a bit more consistent, I think that is one thing he does need to add to his game, is constant consistency, constantly turning up for the big game, constantly turning up against them. I think that is obviously something he does need to add. There have been at times great flashes of what he can provide. I think he's the one player that can kind of unlock that low block with a killer pass, a reverse pass, and no look pass, as we've seen over past seasons. He's got the ability to run at players and go past them, as we saw in the semi-final against Hearts. He is an undoubted talent, and I know he's a player that divides the fan base. There's fans that hate him, that think he's a fanny, that he's a Barbie, etc., etc., that he's a princess. There's others that love him to bits. I'm in the camp that loves him to bits. I absolutely love Todd. I think he's fantastic. I think he's just brilliant. I love his character. I love the fact that he's a bit quirky, a bit on the edge, a bit, out there. Now, look, I think realistically, there's times when you have to be very sensible with what you post on social media. But I think there's fans that have kind of taken this out of context a little bit. Todd is trying to promote. He's trying to big up the club. He's trying to big up himself to some degree. He's trying to kind of, show the supporters that, as far as he's concerned, the best from this team is yet to come. The best of this team is yet to produce for the club. Now, I know in the past we haven't done that, and he hasn't done that to some degree. Obviously, 2 seasons where he's played, no trophies, etc. And I understand the frustration with certain fans. And look, I'm as guilty of this as anyone. I admit that. Now, we have to, I think, be careful. We have to kind of, these star players, these absolute star players, the players that like Todd, like the Gazzas of the past, the Loudrups, etc., etc. A genius, a quality player, a player of an unbelievable level of talent, a player of a talent level above, in the case of Todd Cantwell. They are characters on the whole. There is something different about them. You've only got to look at other clubs to look at, obviously Jack Grealish, bit of a lad, a bit of a character. There are players out there that are that type of character, and you've got to be careful at times not to overly abuse them for what they do. There's kind of got to be a, as long as Philippe Clement doesn't say anything, hasn't got an issue with this, we kind of have to just go, okay, that's it, leave it. Don't say anything. Just let it go. Because if we keep doing this, and I'm not saying this to everyone, please don't think that I am slagging every fan off out there. I'm not. But fans who are slagging him off, fans who are criticising him, just be careful. Because Todd is a player who is that skilled player, the flair player, the maverick, the kind of, I don't know, the fallen genius who, if we criticize these players too much, if we slaughter them too much for what they do, we're going to scare other players away. You're going to look at other players, they're going to look and think, well, do you know what? If I go up there and I do something wrong, or I post something that they don't like, they're going to come after me. They're going to slaughter me. They're going to hammer me. I don't really need that. Does my family need that? We need to be careful. Yes, there are times, I admit, when Todd could be a little more sensible with what he puts out there. I get that. But I think we do need to be a lot more careful with these players. And people go, well, what about Tav then? You criticise him? Yes, I did, but that was different for me. Tav is the captain. He was kind of celebrating himself. It wasn't really as Todd did. Todd is more, yes, there is features being playing, and I get that, but it's best is yet to come from him and from the club, for this club, putting to bed those rumours about him leaving. There's a little bit of a difference there for me. Todd is a player as well who I think will only develop, get better. And that's where we're at. I don't really want to talk about Tav. I don't want to talk about where we're at with him. Because I'm fed up with the abuse. I'm fed up with the racist abuse. I'm fed up with the disgusting attitude of some fans towards what I've said about James Tavernier. It seems to me with some fans that if you dare to criticise James Tavernier, you are the lowest form of life on earth. You are scum. You are just a disgrace. And I'm fed up with the abuse. I really genuinely am. And I'll be honest with you, it even crossed my mind to delete the channel at one point this weekend due to the level of abuse I've had from some fans over James Tavernier and the racist abuse I've had from some fans as well. Okay, let's move it along and talk a little bit about what Chris Boyd has been saying. Everyone's favourite Rangers fan on TV. The pantomime that is Chris Boyd. He is a man who loves to wind up Chris Sutton, which, we've got to admire because, let's face it, Chris Sutton is not a tool and not a weapon. He is a definite classic Bell picture. Take from that what you want. But Boyd has been talking about the Copeland Road debacle, the stadium debacle, and you know what? There's one overwhelming element to this, and this is, I'll be honest with you, the element that the fans of Rangers deserve better than what they are currently getting from this board. I've seen comments online, I've seen comments on this channel, the fans saying the board couldn't run a bath, the board are a shambles, the board couldn't organise a piss in a brewery, they're a disgrace, etc., etc. Now, Chris Boyd has shown his anger over the Ibrox delays, over the problems with the stadium, and he makes some fantastic points. And I think there's a whole series of complications as a result of this stadium debacle. There really is. And I call it a debacle. It is a debacle. Disaster. It is a ridiculous situation that we're in, that we've known that these improvement works were coming up. We've known that we need the equipment and we need the raw materials to do these works, yet we are beset with delays. I don't know if you saw that drone footage that fan put up on social media, on YouTube. The stadium looks an absolute state in that end. I honestly don't see how it's going to be ready for September. I genuinely don't get how they'll get this stadium ready for September for games. It does look a mess, that end. It looks hell and away from being finished. Boyd talks, I think, very well about this situation, and I think the overwhelming fact is, and I think we all need to get this into our heads, is the fact that our fans, you guys, deserve better from this board. We deserve a better run club. We deserve a club that is run like a real, proper professional football club, not like some amateur bunch of used car salesmen trying to flog someone a dodgy car, which at times is what happens. And I think you look at it and you say that fans have invested their hard-earned money. Times are genuinely tough. Times are hard at the moment. You know, tax burdens have gone up in this country. People are suffering. There is a cost of living crisis. People are having to, at times, you know, think about, can we put, you know, have we got enough money to pay for our weekly food bills? And money is not easy to come by. And I think, you know, there's a lot of fans that will spend money on season tickets, on tickets for games, merchandise, and they deserve a lot better from this board. And I think there's people on the board that need to remember that they are trustees of one of the greatest clubs in the world, and they are not, it is not their club. They are running that for the benefit of us, the fans, the real people who care about our club, that bleed for our club, that love our club. And I think there's a lot on that board that seem to forget that. And as long as they line their own pockets, they really genuinely are interested in us, the fans. Anyway, look, there's people who bought tickets for Ibrox who are not going to be able to attend games. I've had people comment on the channel that have said that, you know, they come from Northern Ireland, they live in the city of Glasgow, they're not going to be able to go to Edinburgh if it is that we move to Murrayfield. Now, at the moment, we don't know what's happening with the stadium. We still haven't been told as to where Rangers will be playing their games. It is just an absolute shambles from the board. It genuinely is showing that they are really an absolute shambles. There's only 36 days to go before the start of the season, and we still don't know where these home games will be played. That's right, 36 days, guys. They've had all summer to sort this out, and they still don't know. And also the fan forum at the fans' events, they didn't say anything of this. They covered it up. Go and read the tweet from the fan advisory board about that. There's a lot of season-defining games coming up. There's the Champions League qualifiers. There's the opening to the season where we can't afford to fall behind them. We're playing Celtic fourth game of the season. We need to win all three going into that. Two of those are at home, except they're not going to be at home. They're going to be away somewhere else. That's not ideal. Now, what does Chris Boyd have to say about this whole situation, about the whole Ibrox situation? You know what? There's a whole situation where obviously the project manager has been sacked. Chris Boyd said, "I'm sorry, but these excuses don't wash. It's nowhere near good enough. The whole situation needs to be assessed properly by Rangers. The club's bosses were very vocal about the state of Dundee's pitch after multiple postponements, and rightly so. But I bet that the Dens Park chief, John Nelms, is now sitting there thinking, well, do you know what? At least we had a stadium to play in. You know, it's crazy that Rangers have got themselves in this mess, and I find it hard to believe. Listen, these Ibrox upgrades have been planned for a while, and I'm all for making sure that every supporter gets the best possible experience of watching their team. But was it really wise to embark on this work this summer? The timing was always going to be tight. The new season's coming round very quickly. Surely Rangers should have only started the work on the Copeland Road stand with a guarantee it will be finished in time for August. Right now, I'll be honest, I would be extremely surprised if it's ready anytime touching October. My old club have dropped the ball big time on this, and you wonder just how damaging it might be for them. In terms of the title race, Rangers are already behind the 8 ball before a game has even been played. The start of the season is tough enough before you factor in the Ibrox mess into the equation. Rangers' first 5 away games are at Tynecastle, Parkhead, Tannadice, Rugby Park and Pittodrie. 5 very tough places to go. My words, not his. You know, Tynecastle, we drew 3-3 there last season. At the end, Parkhead, we know our record there is not good. Tannadice, obviously they hate us with a passion and will come for us. Rugby Park, that horrible pitch at that place at Kilmarnock, and Aberdeen, who we all know raise their game and play like prime Real Madrid when they play us. They could have 4 Champions League qualifiers in August on top of their Premiership and League Cup commitments. This could all be played against the backdrop of Ibrox being unavailable for the early part of the season. You have to wonder what Philippe Clement makes of all this. Rangers boss is overseeing the club's now annual rebuild when it comes to the playing squad. We could easily see 11-12 arrivals before the end of the window and plenty going out of the door. The last thing Clement needs is upheaval in terms of home fixtures. Ibrox is a massive asset for Rangers. Having to play home games elsewhere robs them of a significant advantage. The Champions League qualifiers will now be even more difficult. How many times have the Ibrox crowd pushed Rangers to victory on those European nights? Remember, this season's revamped Champions League format means qualification could be worth north of £40 million. I think Chris Boyd speaks very well on this and very accurately on this, if I'm being honest with you. It is a shambles. It is an absolute disgrace. It is a situation where the board have put us into a position where we might not be able to play home games until September, October time. Champions League qualifiers, which are absolutely vital. I don't think I can push to you how important it is that Rangers qualify for the Champions League this season. North of 40 million, between 40 and 60 million pounds is on offer for Champions League qualification. Money we need to build this. If we don't, we again fall behind them. Europa League football is not good enough for this club. End of story. I'm not debating it. I'm not discussing it. I'm genuinely not having it. And you know what? I don't want to hear that that's our standard. I don't want to hear it because it's just shit. We need to be in the Champions League. We need to be earning those Champions League big bucks. That's where we need to be. If we're going to move this club forward, if we're going to raise the standard, if we're going to bring in the players we want, we need to be getting that Champions League money. And Boydie's right. This has put us behind the 8 ball. This has put us in a position where we're going to lose the Ibrox advantage. And people talk about, well, you know what? It doesn't matter where we play. Of course it matters where we play. Ibrox is a fortress. Ibrox is one of the scariest, one of the best grounds in world football. Manchester United players, Gary Neville, Roy Keane, talked about Ibrox as one of the most intimidating atmospheres they ever played in. We need to bring that back. How many times Leipzig at home, Dortmund at home, Braga at home, how many times have we used Ibrox as an inspiration to force us on to victories in recent years? It's there, and we're going to lose that this season because of the inability of our board, of our building planning, whatever, to get this stadium finished on time. It is a disgrace. It is an absolute bloody disgrace. And the board need to answer for it. They genuinely do. Now, look, I know I'm going to get criticised for saying this, but you're so negative. No, I'm just not prepared to accept second best for our club, second best for our fans. I'm not prepared. It's just not fair and not right. Well, guys, look, let me know what you think of the 2 stories we've covered so far. We covered a video yesterday about Kenny McLean, next Rangers captain. I didn't say that I wanted him to be the next Rangers captain. I said that's one of the things that was being suggested. However, it's been reported by Rangers Review that that deal is practically on the way to being done. Look, I'm not sure where I'm up with the Kenny McLean deal. I really am not. I think there's positives to it. I think there's negatives to it. I mean, if you put it down to me, look, it doesn't come down to me. You may say, thank God it doesn't come down to you, Owen. But if it came down to me, I wouldn't sign him. I genuinely wouldn't. He's too old. I just don't think that's the right move at this time. I think we've got too many central midfielders who can play that role that he does. I just don't see it as a good move for the club. But you know what? Coppin and Clement we trust. Guys, let me know what you think anyway. As always, guys, on the way out, if you can do me, 2 favors, which we'll get to. But first of all, please obviously smash that sub, help the channel to keep on growing. Okay, guys, on the way out, 2 things. Smash that like, defeats the EVA algorithm. Number 2, remember always, you know what? We are the people.